The ion storm came without warning, as they always did on Thalassa Prime. The atmospheric sensors had failed again, despite Marcus Vale's meticulous maintenance. Violet-tinged lightning splintered the darkening sky as he fought to secure the last of the storm shutters on his lighthouse home. "Lily," he called over the howling wind, "stay inside." Through sheets of horizontal rain, Marcus glimpsed his 8-year-old daughter's face pressed against the viewport, eyes wide with that familiar mixture of fear and fascination. The storms both terrified and captivated her, much like they had her mother. The thought of Alara sent a familiar pang through Marcus's chest. 3 years gone. Yet her absence still felt like a fresh wound whenever the storms came. She had loved them, studied them, and ultimately been claimed by them during that catastrophic research expedition. A gust of wind nearly toppled Marcus as he hammered the final reinforcement pin into place. The lighthouse's storm harvester was already whirring to life, its turbines gathering the violent energy that would power their home for weeks to come. As he turned to head back inside, something caught his eye, a streak of golden light piercing through the storm clouds, trailing sparks unlike any lightning he had ever seen. The object, whatever it was, crashed into the northern cliffs with an impact that shook the ground beneath his feet. No ordinary meteor, the trajectory was too controlled, too deliberate. "Dad," Lily's voice carried through the comm unit clipped to his weather suit. "Did you see that? It looked like a falling star." "I saw it," Marcus replied, already calculating the distance to the impact site. "Stay inside and lock the doors. I need to check it out." "But Dad—" "No arguments. Lily Pad." He used her nickname, softening his tone despite the urgency. "Storm protocol. You know the drill." He grabbed his emergency pack and ignited the handlights on his weather suit. The path to the northern cliffs would take him directly into the eye of the storm. But something about that golden light tugged at him with inexplicable urgency. The hike was treacherous. Twice. Marcus nearly lost his footing on the storm-slick cliff path. The wind screamed around him, yet as he approached the crash site, he noticed an eerie pocket of calm, the eye of the storm, centered perfectly around the impact crater. What he found there defied explanation. A woman lay unconscious beside a jagged fragment of what appeared to be a spacecraft hull. Her clothing, though torn and singed, was clearly of extraordinary make. Fabrics that shifted color with each flash of lightning, embroidered with symbols Marcus had never seen before. Most striking were the luminescent markings that traced patterns across her exposed skin. Not tattoos, but something that seemed to pulse with an internal light, dimming and brightening with her shallow breaths. Marcus knelt beside her, medical scanner in hand. The readout displayed vitals that were almost, but not quite, human. Elevated neural activity, unusual blood composition, cellular regeneration already beginning at the wound sites. "Can you hear me?" he asked, though he expected no response. The woman's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises of such deep purple that they seemed to contain galaxies. Her gaze locked onto his, and Marcus felt a strange sensation, like a voice that bypassed his ears and spoke directly to his mind. "Help me." Then her eyes closed again, and the strange connection vanished. Marcus had spent enough years on the frontier to know when he was out of his depth. But he also knew that carrying the woman to the settlement's medical facility would take hours they likely didn't have. Making his decision, he carefully lifted her from the ground and began the journey back to the lighthouse. "Lily," he called into his comm unit, "prepare the spare bedroom and the medical kit. We have a visitor." "Is it an alien?" His daughter's voice crackled with excitement. Marcus looked down at the unconscious woman in his arms, at the strange luminescence pulsing beneath her skin. "Not exactly," he replied, "but she's definitely not from around here." Lily Vale had been waiting by the door, medical kit clutched in her small hands, when Marcus finally staggered inside with their mysterious guest. Her eyes widened at the sight of the woman's glowing skin markings and elaborate, though damaged, attire. "She looks like one of the Sky Queens from your stories," Lily whispered as Marcus laid the woman on the bed in their spare room. "She's not a Sky Queen," Marcus said, though he couldn't offer a better explanation. "Hand me the scanner." Together, they worked to treat the woman's injuries, a deep laceration across her shoulder, burns along her left side, and what appeared to be a concussion. The medical scanner struggled to interpret her physiology, but suggested treatments that seemed safe enough. Hours passed, the storm raged outside, but inside the lighthouse, a different kind of tension built. Whenever Marcus touched the woman's skin to apply a healing compound, he felt that strange mental echo again, fragments of emotion and imagery that weren't his own. Just before dawn, when the storm had finally begun to subside, the woman awakened. She sat up with such sudden grace that Lily, who had been dozing in a chair beside the bed, startled awake. The woman's gaze swept the room, taking in her surroundings with calculating precision before settling on Marcus. "You assisted me," she said. Her voice carried an accent Marcus couldn't place, melodic and commanding. "I am in your debt." "You were injured," Marcus replied simply. "Anyone would have helped?" A slight smile curved her lips. "You would be surprised at how rare such compassion is, even among the stars." She inclined her head. "I am Alethea." Lily leaned forward, curiosity overcoming shyness. "Are you a Sky Queen?" The woman regarded Lily with an expression of surprise that quickly softened. "I am Empress Alethea of the Sisara cluster. Some might call that a Queen of the Skies." "Yes." Marcus felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. He had spent enough years as a cargo pilot before Lily was born to recognize the name. The Sisara cluster, a matriarchal collective of 7 star systems known for their advanced biotechnology and fierce independence, and their rulers, if the spaceport rumors were true, possessed some form of psychic bond with their people. "You're a long way from home, Your Majesty," Marcus said cautiously. Alethea's expression darkened. "Not by choice." She attempted to stand but swayed, still weak from her injuries. Marcus moved to steady her, and once again felt that strange mental resonance, this time carrying flashes of pursuit, betrayal, and desperate escape. "My ship was attacked," she continued, allowing Marcus to help her back onto the bed. "High General Serok has staged a coup. I escaped, but my emergency pod was damaged in the pursuit." She glanced toward the window, where the first light of dawn was breaking through dissipating storm clouds. "I must contact my loyalists. The longer I am absent, the stronger Serok's claim to my throne." Lily, who had been listening with rapt attention, spoke up. "Dad can help. He used to fly spaceships before he became a lighthouse keeper." Marcus shot his daughter a warning look, but Alethea had already fixed her penetrating gaze on him. "Is this true? You are a pilot." "I was," Marcus admitted reluctantly. "Cargo routes, mostly. Nothing that would be much use against whatever military force is after you. Yet you maintain this structure." She gestured around them. "And its technology. Your hands bear the marks of an engineer." Her voice softened. "And you risked the storm to save a stranger. These qualities are more valuable than combat experience." Before Marcus could respond, a soft pulsing sound emanated from the pocket of Alethea's torn garment. She withdrew a small crystalline device that glowed with the same bioluminescence as her skin markings. "The fragment of my ship," she said urgently. "Where is it?" "I couldn't bring the whole thing back," Marcus explained. "It was too large. I only brought you." Alethea closed her eyes, her expression pained. "Then I am truly stranded. The hull fragment contained my emergency beacon and communication array." Lily tugged at her father's sleeve. "We could go back for it, couldn't we, Dad, after breakfast?" Marcus looked between his daughter's hopeful face and the regal, desperate woman who had literally fallen from the sky into their lives. Every instinct warned him to stay uninvolved in interstellar politics. Such entanglements had cost too many frontier worlds their peace. Yet he found himself nodding. "We'll go at first light," he said. "But I'm making no promises beyond retrieving your beacon. Thalassa Prime is a neutral world, and I intend to keep it that way, for Lily's sake." Aletheia inclined her head. "I understand the desire to protect what you love. It is why I must return to my people." She touched one of the luminescent markings on her wrist, and it flared briefly. "My blood song grows weaker the longer I am separated from them. Without that connection, I cannot counter Serok's influence." "Blood song?" Lily asked, fascination evident in her voice. "The psychic bond between a Cisaran Empress and her people," Aletheia explained. "It is part of our genetic heritage, a song that flows through bloodlines, connecting ruler to ruled in mutual understanding." "Like telepathy?" Lily's eyes widened. "Similar, but deeper. Less about reading thoughts, more about sharing." She searched for the word. "Truth. It is how we maintain harmony across 7 systems. No deception can withstand the blood song." Marcus felt a chill at her words. A ruler who could sense the truth in her subjects' hearts. Was that freedom or the ultimate surveillance? "Get some rest," he told Aletheia. "We'll head to the crash site after sunrise." As he ushered Lily from the room, he couldn't shake the feeling that by bringing the Empress into their home, he had already taken sides in a conflict he barely understood. Thalassa Prime had been settled only 3 generations ago. Drawn by the abundance of sky crystals, rare minerals formed in the upper atmosphere during ion storms. These crystals, when properly processed, could enhance starship navigation systems, making them valuable enough to justify the planet's harsh conditions. The settlement of Harbor's Edge clung to the coastline below Marcus's lighthouse, its buildings designed to channel and withstand the frequent storms. Energy collectors and storm harvesters dotted the landscape, transforming Thalassa's volatile weather into its primary power source. As Marcus, Lily, and Aletheia made their way down the cliff path toward the crash site, the settlement was already stirring to life. The aftermath of a major storm always brought scavengers out searching for freshly fallen sky crystals. "Stay close," Marcus warned Aletheia, who had donned one of his old weather coats to conceal her distinctive appearance. "Harbor's Edge doesn't get many outsiders, especially not royalty." "I'm not unfamiliar with disguise," she replied. Indeed, with her luminescent markings temporarily dimmed through some method she refused to explain, she could almost pass for a local if one didn't look too closely at her perfect posture or the authority that seemed to radiate from her even in silence. The crash site looked different in daylight. What Marcus had taken for a hull fragment was actually an emergency escape pod, sleeker and more advanced than any spacecraft he had seen during his piloting days. Its golden surface was etched with the same symbols that adorned Aletheia's formal attire, and despite the impact damage, parts of it still pulsed with internal light. Aletheia approached the wreckage with reverence, placing her palm against a specific symbol. The metal responded to her touch, a section sliding open to reveal a hidden compartment containing several crystalline devices. "The beacon is intact," she said with evident relief. "And the emergency communicator." She hesitated, "but the navigation system is beyond repair." Marcus examined the damaged pod with a professional eye. "Some of these components might be salvageable. With the right tools, I could—" "Someone's coming," Lily interrupted, pointing toward a dust cloud rising from the direction of Harbor's Edge. Marcus recognized the distinctive rumble of hoverbikes. "Scavengers," he said grimly. "They must have tracked the impact. We need to take what we can and go." Working quickly, they gathered the intact technology from the pod. Aletheia insisted on retrieving a small metal cylinder that she secured inside her garment without explanation. Just as they prepared to leave, 5 hoverbikes crested the nearby ridge, their riders dressed in the patchwork gear of professional salvagers. "Well, what have we here?" The lead rider, a weathered woman named Sarah, whom Marcus knew from town, called out as they approached. "Marcus Vale playing scavenger. That's new." "Just checking out the crash," Marcus replied casually. "Nothing valuable?" Sarah's gaze shifted to Alethea, narrowing with suspicion. "And who's your friend? Don't recall seeing her around Harbor's Edge." Before Marcus could answer, Alethea stepped forward. "I am a researcher," she said, her imperious tone somewhat muted but still carrying authority. "Studying the composition of impact sites." Sarah didn't look convinced. "Funny time to be out researching, right after a Category 5 storm." She dismounted her hoverbike, hand resting casually near the cutter tool at her belt, standard equipment for salvagers, but equally effective as a weapon. Marcus shifted slightly, positioning himself between Sarah and Lily. "We were just leaving. The site's all yours." "Not so fast." Another salvager had been examining the pod. "This ain't no meteor. This is spacecraft tech, high-end stuff." He ran a scanner over the golden metal. "These readings are off the charts. We could retire on what this would fetch in Centralis." Marcus felt Alethea tense beside him. "It's government property," he improvised. "Research vessel. That's why we're here to claim it." "Government, huh?" Sarah laughed. "Since when does Marcus Vale work for any government? Last I heard, you left the Flight Corps because you couldn't stand taking orders." The situation was deteriorating rapidly. Marcus calculated their chances of making it back to the lighthouse before the salvagers could catch them slim, especially with Lily and a still-recovering Alethea. Then, something unexpected happened. Lily stepped forward, staring intently at Sarah. "The storm left sky crystals on South Ridge," she said, her voice oddly compelling. "Big ones. I saw them this morning." Sarah blinked, looking momentarily confused. "South Ridge?" "Perfect formation clusters," Lily continued. "Probably worth more than this broken metal." Marcus watched in astonishment as Sarah's expression shifted from suspicion to consideration. The other salvagers exchanged glances. "South Ridge is a good hour's ride," one muttered. "But formation clusters," another replied, already turning his hoverbike. "If the kid's right, that's triple the value of scrap metal." Sarah hesitated, looking between Lily and the damaged escape pod. For a moment, Marcus thought she would insist on staying, but then she nodded sharply. "South Ridge it is. But Vale," she added with a pointed look, "you owe me if this is a wild goose chase." As the salvagers roared away, Marcus turned to Lily in amazement. "How did you—" "I didn't lie," Lily said, looking slightly puzzled herself. "I really did see sky crystals on South Ridge through my telescope this morning." Alethea was studying Lily with newfound interest. "You have a gift for persuasion, young one." "We should go," Marcus interrupted, uncomfortable with the Empress's scrutiny of his daughter. "More scavengers will come once word spreads about the crash." They gathered the salvaged components and began the trek back to the lighthouse. As they walked, Marcus noticed Alethea occasionally placing her hand on Lily's shoulder, as if testing some theory. Each time, Lily would glance up at the Empress with growing admiration. "Can all Empresses do that mind-talking thing?" Lily asked eventually. "The blood song. It is our birthright," Alethea replied. "Though its strength varies, mine was particularly powerful before." A shadow crossed her face. "Now, so far from my people, it weakens. I can sense emotions, project simple thoughts, but the true song eludes me." "Is that why the bad guys could take over? Because your song got weaker?" Alethea considered the question with the seriousness she might give a senior advisor. "Partly. High General Serok has long envied the royal bloodline's connection to our people. He has developed technology to disrupt the blood song, to create static that drowns out my voice. When he struck, he first attacked our central communication hub, isolating me from the outer systems. So, if you could sing again, really sing, you could tell everyone the truth and stop him? Lily pressed. In essence, yes, Alethea confirmed. The blood song cannot force obedience, but it ensures that truth is known. In the light of truth, Serok's deceptions would wither. Marcus, listening to this exchange, felt his unease grow. And this beacon of yours, it can reach all the way to the Sisara cluster? With suitable amplification, Alethea said, her gaze drifting to the lighthouse tower rising before them. Your storm harvester. It collects and focuses atmospheric energy, does it not? Marcus stopped walking. No, absolutely not. That harvester powers the entire settlement. If I start redirecting energy for some interstellar broadcast, people will notice. People will ask questions. Dad, Lily began, but Marcus cut her off. We're already taking a risk by sheltering you. He told Alethea, I'll help repair your communicator, but converting my lighthouse into a transmission tower for your psychic, whatever it is, that crosses a line. Alethea regarded him steadily. I understand your caution. Marcus Vale, you have your daughter to protect. She glanced toward the horizon. Perhaps there is another way. But as they continued toward the lighthouse, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they were already entangled in forces far beyond their control, and that the storm that had brought Alethea to their shores was nothing compared to what might follow. 3 days passed in uneasy equilibrium. Marcus worked on integrating Alethea's communication technology with parts salvaged from his old cargo pilot days, creating a modest but functional transmitter. It wouldn't reach the Sisara cluster directly, but might connect with passing ships that could relay her message. Meanwhile, Alethea recovered her strength. The luminescent markings on her skin grew brighter, and more than once. Marcus caught her standing at the lighthouse's highest window, palm pressed against the glass as if reaching for distant stars. Most concerning to Marcus was the bond forming between the Empress and his daughter. They spent hours together while he worked. Alethea teaching Lily about stellar navigation and the history of the Sisara cluster. In return, Lily showed Alethea her collection of sky crystal formations and the hand-drawn star charts that covered her bedroom walls. She has a natural affinity for the cosmos, Alethea remarked one evening as Marcus prepared a simple dinner. And a mind that seeks patterns. Such gifts are highly valued in Sisara. She's 8, Marcus replied curtly. Her gifts are for her to discover in her own time, not to be shaped toward your cultural ideals. Alethea tilted her head, studying him. You fear I am recruiting her, aren't you? Marcus set down the cooking utensil with more force than necessary. Every story you tell her, every star system you describe, you're painting a picture of something she can never have. When you leave, all she'll have left is bigger dreams and a smaller world. Dreams are not burdens, Marcus Vale. They are when they're impossible. The words came out harsher than he intended, laden with old grief. Lily's mother had dreams. She dreamed of understanding Thalassa's storms, of creating better prediction systems. She flew into the heart of a Category 6 to gather data. Her ship never emerged. Understanding dawned in Alethea's eyes. So you became a lighthouse keeper, earthbound, safe. I became what Lily needed me to be, Marcus corrected. A father who comes home every night. Yet you maintain your pilot's licenses, Alethea observed. I saw them in your study, renewed annually, though you haven't flown in years. Marcus had no answer for that. The conversation might have continued, but Lily burst into the kitchen, clutching her portable telescope. Dad, there's a ship in orbit, a big one! Marcus's blood ran cold. Are you sure it's not just a satellite, or... It's a warship, Alethea interrupted, her luminescent markings pulsing rapidly. Ciceran design, but not loyal to me. Serok's hunters have found my trail. Marcus moved to the window, though he knew he wouldn't be able to see anything with the naked eye. How? We haven't even activated your transmitter yet. The escape pod's emergency beacon must have activated automatically during the crash. Alethea's voice was tight with urgency. It would have sent out a general distress signal, enough for them to narrow their search to this region. We need to hide you, Marcus decided. The sea caves might. Hiding will only delay the inevitable. Alethea cut him off. Serok's forces will search every structure, question every resident. Your people will suffer for sheltering me, whether knowingly or not. Then, what do you suggest? Marcus demanded. Because I'm not about to let Lily get caught in the crossfire of your civil war. Alethea's gaze shifted to the lighthouse tower. We complete the transmitter. We amplify it using your storm harvester, and we call for help, not just to my loyalists, but to all of Sisara. With what power source? The next major storm isn't forecast for at least a week. A slow smile spread across Alethea's face. Then perhaps we should create one. The plan was audacious, bordering on insane. Using components from Alethea's escape pod, they would modify the lighthouse's storm harvester to work in reverse, not collecting atmospheric energy, but projecting it upward to seed the formation of an ion storm. If successful, they could generate enough power to boost Alethea's blood song through the transmitter, reaching not just the Sisara cluster, but the warship in orbit. This will alert them to our exact location, Marcus pointed out as they worked through the night, reconfiguring the harvester's energy matrix. They already know we are somewhere in this region, Alethea replied, her fingers deftly connecting crystalline circuits. At least this way, we control the timing. Lily, whom Marcus had reluctantly allowed to assist, handed Alethea a calibrated sky crystal. Will your people hear you, even with the bad guys trying to block your song? If the amplification is sufficient. Yes, Alethea inserted the crystal into the modified transmitter. The blood song resonates at a frequency Serok cannot fully suppress. He can create interference, but not silence it completely. Marcus made a final adjustment to the energy distributor. That should do it, but Alethea, he added gravely. Artificial storm generation is illegal on Thalassa Prime. For good reason. If this goes wrong, it won't. Lily interjected with childlike certainty. The Empress knows what she's doing. Alethea placed her hand on Lily's shoulder, that now familiar gesture that seemed to create some connection between them. Your confidence honors me, young one, but your father is right to be cautious. She turned to Marcus. I give you my word, once this is done, regardless of the outcome, I will ensure no blame falls on you or your daughter. Marcus wanted to believe her, but experience had taught him that promises from the powerful were often worth less than the air used to speak them. Still, what choice did they have? If Serok's forces descended on Harbor's edge, the danger to Lily would be far greater. Let's do it, he said finally. But Lily stays in the safe room during the transmission. Dad, Lily protested. Non-negotiable, Marcus stated firmly. Artificial storms are unpredictable. The safe room is shielded against electromagnetic pulses and power surges. Reluctantly, Lily agreed, though the look she exchanged with Alethea suggested some unspoken understanding between them that Marcus couldn't decipher. As dawn approached, they made their final preparations. The modified storm harvester hummed with building energy, its array aligned toward the heavy cloud cover. Alethea had changed back into her partially repaired royal garments, the symbols glowing in harmony with her skin markings. The warship has moved into lower orbit, Marcus reported, checking the atmospheric scanner. They'll have deployment vessels ready. Alethea nodded. Then we have little time. She removed the small metal cylinder she had salvaged from the escape pod, twisting it to reveal a vial of luminescent liquid. This will enhance my connection to the blood song temporarily, a royal safeguard, used only in dire circumstances. She consumed the liquid in one swift motion, almost immediately. The markings on her skin brightened dramatically, pulsing in complex patterns that made Marcus's eyes water to look at directly. "It's time," she said, her voice resonating strangely, as if multiple voices spoke in unison. "Activate the harvester." Marcus hesitated for one final moment, looking at Lily. "Safe room. Now." "But Dad—" "Now, Lily!" With a frustrated sigh, his daughter retreated to the reinforced chamber built into the lighthouse's lower level, a standard safety feature for storm-prone Thalassa. Once the safe room door was sealed, Marcus initiated the harvester's modified sequence. The machinery shuddered, energy conduits glowing as power built within the system. Above them, the clouds began to churn unnaturally, darkness concentrating directly over the lighthouse. "Atmospheric excitation at 40%, Marcus called out, monitoring the readouts. "First lightning strike in approximately 3 minutes. Alethea positioned herself at the center of the transmission array. Her eyes closed in concentration. The air around her seemed to shimmer, reality itself bending slightly in response to whatever power she was channeling. "The blood song rises," she murmured. "I can feel the echo of my people, distant but present." Outside, the wind began to howl as the artificial storm gathered strength. Lightning flashed, closer than Marcus had calculated, striking a ridge barely half a kilometer away. The harvester's energy levels spiked dramatically. "Power surge incoming," he warned. "Stabilizers at maximum." The next lightning strike hit the lighthouse directly. The harvester captured the energy as designed, but the sheer volume of power overwhelmed its regulatory systems. Alarms blared as circuits overloaded. "Containment failing," Marcus shouted over the noise. "We need to abort." But Alethea was beyond hearing. Her eyes had opened, revealing nothing but radiant purple light. The luminescent markings on her skin had expanded, covering her entirely in shifting patterns. When she spoke, her voice resonated with such power that the very air vibrated. "I am Alethea, sovereign Empress of the Sisara cluster. My blood song calls to all who carry the true harmony. Serok's deception ends now. Hear me. Feel the truth." The transmission array surrounding her blazed with energy, projecting her amplified blood song upward through the storm. Marcus shielded his eyes, desperately trying to maintain control of the harvester as system after system redlined. A secondary explosion rocked the lighthouse as one of the power conduits ruptured. Marcus was thrown against the wall, his head striking metal with enough force to momentarily daze him. Through blurred vision, he saw the harvester's primary containment field fluctuating dangerously if it failed completely. The energy backwash could destroy the entire structure. Staggering to his feet, Marcus fought his way to the manual override. The harvester needed to be shut down immediately, regardless of whether Alethea had completed her transmission. His fingers closed around the emergency cutoff lever just as another power surge hit. The control panel exploded in a shower of sparks, sending Marcus sprawling once more. His last conscious thought before darkness claimed him was of Lily, sealed in the safe room below, and a desperate hope that it would live up to its name. "Ah." Marcus awoke to the sound of Lily's voice, distant but growing clearer. Dad, can you hear me? Please wake up." He opened his eyes to find his daughter's tear-streaked face hovering above him. They were still in the lighthouse tower, but something was different. The air felt charged, crackling with residual energy, yet strangely calm. "The storm," he managed to croak. "It's gone," Lily said, helping him sit up. "It just stopped, all at once." Marcus's gaze swept the room, taking in the devastation. The harvester's primary array was a twisted wreck of metal, crystal fragments scattered across the floor. The transmission equipment had fared no better, its components fused into unrecognizable shapes. And Alethea. The Empress stood at the tower's observation window, her back to them. The luminescent markings on her skin had dimmed to their normal brightness. But she seemed transformed, nonetheless, standing taller, her presence somehow more substantial than before. "You should be in the safe room," Marcus told Lily, his protective instincts overriding everything else. "I felt it, Dad," Lily whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "When the Empress sang, I felt it in my head, like music, but made of truth. I couldn't stay hidden. I had to help." Marcus struggled to his feet, alarmed. "What do you mean, help?" Before Lily could answer, Alethea turned from the window. Her expression was serene, yet alert. The face of someone who had cast a dice and was now watching to see how they fell. "Your daughter is extraordinary, Marcus Vale," she said. When the harvester's containment field began to fail, the blood song was in danger of being lost. Lily came to me then. She became my anchor, a pure mind, untainted by deception, through which the song could flow. Cold fear gripped Marcus's heart. "What did you do to her?" "Nothing that was not already within her," Alethea assured him. "The blood song cannot create connection where none exists. It can only amplify natural resonance." She looked at Lily with genuine affection. "Your daughter has a rare gift for empathic harmony. In my culture, such individuals are called song-bearers, those who can carry truth between hearts." "I'm fine, Dad," Lily insisted. "Better than fine. I saw everything, all the stars, all the systems. I felt all the people listening." Marcus wanted to be relieved, but suspicion lingered. "And your transmission, did it work?" Alethea's smile widened. "See for yourself." She gestured toward the window, moving carefully around the debris. Marcus joined her at the observation platform. The view took his breath away. The warship that had been orbiting Thalassa Prime was clearly visible now, having descended to lower atmosphere. But rather than the hostile presence he had feared, the vessel was waiting. A smaller craft had detached from it and was making its way toward the lighthouse. "That's Serok's flagship," Alethea explained. "Or it was. The captain and crew have renounced him. The blood song reached them, reached all of Sisara. The truth of Serok's betrayal is known. My loyalists are retaking control even now." "So it's over?" Marcus couldn't quite believe it could be so simple. "This battle?" "Yes." Alethea's expression sobered. "But challenges remain. Serok himself escaped capture. Some of his most devoted followers still resist. And the damage he caused to our systems will take time to repair." The approaching craft was close enough now that Marcus could make out its elegant design, clearly Cisaran, but distinct from the warship. A diplomatic vessel, perhaps, or a royal transport. "They're coming for you," he realized. "Yes." Alethea turned to face him fully. "I must return to my people, Marcus Vale. But first, I owe you a debt that cannot be easily repaid. You saved my life. You sheltered me at risk to yourself. You helped restore my connection to the blood song." "We just did what was right," Marcus said uncomfortably. "And such actions are the rarest treasures in any star system." Alethea's gaze shifted to Lily, who was watching the approaching craft with undisguised fascination. "Your daughter has awakened to abilities few outside the Sisara cluster possess. She would be welcomed among us, honored, educated, given opportunities to develop gifts that might never fully flourish here." Marcus stiffened. "She's my daughter. Her place is with me." "Of course," Alethea agreed readily. "I would never separate a child from a loving parent. My offer extends to you both." The proposal hung in the air between them, weighty with possibility. Marcus looked at Lily, really looked at her, and saw the yearning in her eyes, the same yearning he had once felt, gazing up at stars from the pilot's seat of his first spacecraft. Dreams are not burdens, Alethea had said, but they could be, couldn't they? When they pulled you away from safety, from stability, when they pulled you toward the storm. The approaching craft was landing now, touching down on the cliff edge beside the lighthouse. Soon, Alethea would be gone, returned to her royal duties light years away, and life in Harbor's Edge would continue as before, maintaining the lighthouse, harvesting sky crystals, waiting out the storms. Dad? Lily's voice pulled him from his thoughts. She had moved to stand beside him, her small hand slipping into his. I want to learn about the blood song, about being a song-bearer, but I want to stay with you more. The simple declaration struck Marcus to his core. In that moment, he saw with perfect clarity what Elara would have wanted for their daughter, not a life constrained by his fears, but one expanded by possibility. What if we didn't have to choose? He heard himself saying. What if there was a middle path? Alethea raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What do you propose? Thalassa Prime has valuable resources, sky crystals that enhance navigation, storm energy that could be harnessed more efficiently with Ciceran technology. The planet could benefit from formal diplomatic relations with your cluster. Marcus surprised himself with how easily the diplomatic language returned from his cargo pilot days. You need someone who understands both worlds, someone trusted by the locals, but also, he glanced at Lily, connected to Cisara. Understanding dawned in Alethea's eyes. An ambassador, or perhaps, more accurately, a liaison. We keep the lighthouse, Marcus continued, warming to the idea. It becomes a communication outpost, legitimate this time, with proper equipment. Lily studies with Ciceran teachers when they visit, but remains grounded here, in her home. And you return to the stars occasionally, Alethea added, establishing trade routes, facilitating cultural exchange. The vision took shape between them, a future neither had imagined days ago, when a storm had brought an Empress to their door. The diplomatic craft's hatch opened, revealing a small delegation in formal Ciceran attire. Alethea straightened. Once more, every inch the sovereign ruler. It seems my escort has arrived, she said. Shall we greet them together? Ambassador Vale? Marcus hesitated only briefly before nodding. As they descended the lighthouse stairs, Lily racing ahead with excitement, he felt a weight lifting, not the burden of dreams, as he had feared, but the heavier burden of dreams denied. Outside, the sky above Thalassa Prime was clearing, the artificial storm's last clouds dissipating to reveal stars still visible in the early morning light. Among them, somewhere, lay the 7 systems of the Cisara cluster, no longer distant points of light, but potential destinations. Will you tell me about Mom's research? Lily asked suddenly as they approached the Ciceran delegation. The storm studies she was working on. Marcus squeezed his daughter's hand. Yes, he promised. All of it. And maybe someday, we can continue where she left off, but with better ships, better safety systems, and better storm prediction, Lily added with certainty. Yes, Marcus agreed, watching as Alethea stepped forward to greet her people, her luminescent markings glowing in the morning sun. I think we're getting better at predicting storms already. 6 months later, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the newly rebuilt lighthouse, now crowned with a sophisticated Ciceran communication array. Below, in the teaching space that had once been their living room, Lily was concluding her daily lesson with Dr. Varen, a Ciceran scientist specializing in empathic resonance. Her progress is remarkable, Varen told Marcus as he joined them. She has natural talent, of course, but more importantly, she has discipline. Not all children her age can maintain focus during the meditation exercises. She gets that from her mother, Marcus said with a proud smile. Alara could spend hours analyzing storm patterns, completely absorbed. Lily looked up from the crystalline device she had been studying. Dr. Varen says I might be ready to visit the capital next cycle. Can we go? Dad, please. If your studies continue at this pace, and if the trade negotiations conclude successfully, Marcus replied, though they both knew he would move mountains to make it happen. The joy in Lily's eyes whenever she mastered a new aspect of her abilities was worth any journey. The communication array chimed, signaling an incoming transmission. Marcus activated the receiver, and a holographic image of Empress Alethea materialized before them. Ambassador Val. She greeted him formally, though her eyes held the warmth of friendship. I trust this transmission finds you well. Your Majesty. Marcus inclined his head. We are indeed well. Lily was just telling me about the possibility of visiting the capital. That is partly why I contact you today. Alethea replied. The Scissoran High Council has approved the final trade agreement. 6 cargo vessels will arrive within the month to establish the first official Sky Crystal Exchange. As the liaison who made this possible, your presence, both of you, is requested for the formal ceremony. Dr. Varen looked impressed. The High Council rarely approves agreements so quickly. Your proposal must have been exceptionally persuasive. Ambassador. Marcus shrugged modestly. I had good teachers. He glanced at the viewport, where Thalassa's unpredictable weather was brewing another storm on the horizon, and perhaps a new perspective on the value of connection across distance. Lily had moved to stand beside the hologram, her own skin showing the faintest luminescence, a side effect of her developing abilities that still startled Marcus occasionally. Has there been any sign of Sirach? She asked Alethea directly, with the frankness only a child could manage with an empress. Alethea's expression sobered. None. He and his most loyal followers disappeared into the outer territories. But the blood song grows stronger throughout the cluster. Should he attempt to spread falsehood again, he will find fewer minds receptive to deception. And more song-bearers to counter it, Lily added with determination. Indeed. Alethea's holographic form seemed to shimmer with approval. Which reminds me, the Academy of Harmonic Sciences has expressed interest in your mother's research, Marcus. Her approach to understanding storm patterns shares remarkable similarities with our own studies of resonance waves. Marcus felt a bittersweet pang. Alara would have been thrilled to know her work might continue, even if in a different form than she imagined. The best legacies often evolve beyond their creator's vision, Alethea observed, just as the lighthouse has become more than a warning beacon. Outside, the approaching storm front painted the sky in deepening purples and blues. But unlike before, Marcus felt no dread at its approach, only a calm readiness. The storm harvester had been rebuilt with Scissoran enhancements, more efficient and far safer than its predecessor. I should conclude this transmission, Alethea said, noting the weather change. Preserve your energy reserves for the storm. We will speak again once it passes. Until then, Your Majesty, Marcus replied. As the hologram faded, he turned to Dr. Varen. You should return to the settlement before the weather worsens. The scientist nodded, gathering his teaching materials. Tomorrow we begin the advanced harmonics lesson, he told Lily. Remember to practice your focusing technique tonight. After Varen departed, Marcus and Lily stood together at the viewport, watching the storms approach. The first lightning strikes illuminated distant clouds, beautiful in their wild power. Do you think Mom can see us? Lily asked suddenly. From wherever she is now? Do you think she knows about the Scissorans and the blood song and everything that's happened? Marcus put his arm around his daughter's shoulders. I don't know, he answered honestly. But I like to think she'd be proud of you, of the person you're becoming. And of you, Lily insisted, for flying again, for helping the Empress, for not being afraid anymore. Marcus considered this. Fear hadn't vanished entirely. Perhaps it never would. But it had transformed from a wall into a doorway, from something that confined them to something they moved through together. "The storm's going to be a big one," he noted as the wind began to howl around the lighthouse. "Perfect for harvesting." Lily grinned, the excitement of approaching weather still as strong as ever. "Can I help monitor the collection array? I've been studying the energy flow patterns." "Absolutely," Marcus agreed. "It's your legacy, too, after all," as they prepared the lighthouse systems for the storm's full force. Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here, from a crash site in the eye of a tempest to the threshold of interstellar diplomacy. Not the path he would have chosen, perhaps, but one that had given Lily wings without taking her from home. Outside, the storm broke over Thalassa Prime with magnificent fury. But inside the lighthouse, father and daughter worked in perfect harmony, transforming chaos into light that would guide travelers across both sea and stars. And somewhere in that light, in the connection it represented, perhaps Ilara's dream lived on, not just of understanding storms, but of finding meaning within them, of emerging from darkness with greater clarity than before, of discovering, in the heart of the tempest, a sovereignty that no usurper could ever claim, the power to choose one's own path through the storm.